colors creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires.
Men, women, comets and embers, welcome to Burning Questions, the show where we dive deep into the world of those who come from far. Today, we have a good friend of mine who comes from far beyond the reaches of space. But I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves, so would you kindly tell us who you are?
Hello everybody, my name is Miki Astrophel, a space wanderer brings celestial narratives to you. I am known for my survivalist junkie streams, but lately I've been playing more on chill vibes, Stardew Valley, Don't Starve Together, and I've been playing a lot of story games too, like Barotrauma and what was it called again? What Remains of Edith Finch. If you'd like to know more, please check out my channel.
Okay, well that's great to know. They can find you on YouTube, correct?
Yes, on YouTube. Only on YouTube so far. No Twitch yet.
Yet, so that means there's a possibility in the future.
Yes, it's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Do you ever think about like trying to, well, I know that you can't do restream because of internet issues in space, but so far you are still committed to YouTube, right? But
Yes.
what keeps you on YouTube, if I may ask?
This might be a very unconventional answer, but I love the challenge. You know, I'm known for being a survivalist junkie because challenges. Many people have said to me that becoming a YouTuber is difficult. Like, algorithm is different. It has a different content creator culture, right? Because in Twitch it's a different vibe. There's a different vibe between these platforms. And YouTube for me has always felt like it's for me. It has more like a business structure for my eyes, okay? For my eyes. Because I'm not gonna lie, even though I'm a cheerful person, I am very goal oriented, and YouTube satisfies most of the goals that I want to achieve for the channel. So there you go. And my story with YouTube goes way back. It goes way back. It started with YouTube. It's a struggle. So that's the basic gist.
Okay, I see what you mean. Well, would you kindly like share a bit of your lore for the audience to understand more of you?
Of course, I would love to. So this is basically the story on how I actually ended up on Earth and leaving Earth on the process. So I was discovered around December 12th, 20xxx. I was discovered around that day. I crash landed on planet Earth after my planet Milko, collapsed. Nobody knows what happened. It's like the planet started, gravity shifting. And it's weird because everybody is like being pulled into some sort of black hole, but not really. So of course I had to escape. And by the time I escaped, something went wrong with my rocket ship and I crashed into Iceland. So it was like, it went on for like, 3 days before some Space Force, they introduced themselves as the Space Force. I don't know what they are. I don't want to remember what they are. They were rude. They were super rude. They were like calling me this alien. Huh? I'm not an alien. I'm a comet. Like, what? They describe me as like a human-like vessel with electric pink hair, holographic dress, skin cold as the dead, and I'm like, okay, whatever, guys. So they brought me to this kind of facility. They did not even bring me into their, what do they call those? Do you know those white bird thingies that are so big, but it's not a bird. It's like a machine. I don't know what humans call it. What do humans call that?
A rocket? No.
No, it's like it's in the clouds. It just goes over the clouds. Is it a rock?
A
No,
blimp.
airplane. There we go.
Oh, plane.
Airplane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they call it airplane. They did not even bring me on an airplane like those. You know how humans actually travel. They
Sure.
brought me on the boat. They sailed me across the sea, and they brought me over to their country. They made some experimentations on me. They said, "Oh, she can speak this. She can speak this language, but she doesn't understand human understanding, complex human understanding." What? I really don't get it. What they mean. So
I think that makes sense.
what? What do you mean? What do you mean it makes sense? No,
I mean, like your story, it makes a ton of sense how they would say you don't understand what they're saying, and you say that you don't understand what they're saying.
I mean, I try to, but they don't explain to me. They just gave me a bunch of says, "Hey, can you do this? Can you destroy the world or something?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll show you these. I can make some eyes. I can pull meteors from the sky." You know, those stuff, normal comet things. And they were like, "Okay, she's going to destroy the world in this state." Huh? That doesn't connect. That doesn't connect Space Force. And I was like, "Okay, fine. I don't have any plans like that. So can you please not, make the narrative like this?" And then they continue to ask different questions like, "Do you know any other comet?" Quotation marks. "Do you know any comet like you?" And I said, "No, I'm the only one that I know of." And they made me describe where I came from. I said Milko planet is made out of purple goo, pink crystals, and sparkling blue sea, but not in the way that it has the sea from Earth, right? Because seas from
Yeah.
Earth has what do you call it? H2O. I don't know. I
Water.
really
Okay.
don't know. Water, right? Water. So there they go. They were so confused because they expected space to be something else, and then it's not. It blew their mind that okay, so the theories that we've been working on are not true. It's been debunked. So they isolated me. They assigned an astronaut to me because they figured out that having too many people observe me is going to be like dangerous for humanity. So they assigned this astronaut to me, and it was pretty kind. He was pretty kind. They taught me how to write. They taught me how to read their literature. They taught me how to do gaming, which I really, really love. And it's been going on like that for quite some time, and I really enjoy the company of that astronaut. And they gave me my name. They called me Miki Astrophel. It means a narrative from the stars. That's what it means. And I really love that. It's the name that I got. It's so special. Human concept of names. It's so special because we don't have that in our planet because we're just unified under this specific name. Goo. That's what we are. Like humans, Earthers are called humans, and Milkos are called Goo. We don't have any names. We're just basically under one title. So having this identity just given to me, this unique ID, is just so cool. It's a cool human concept. A human concept that I like. One of the human concepts that I like. And while I was in Earth, they gave me, I was really interested in multimedia, human multimedia, and they allowed me to open a YouTube channel for fun. They allowed me to make pre-recorded videos of my gameplay, and you could see that I posted my first YouTube video around September 11. It was The Long Dark, since it resembled a little bit of Iceland, the sceneries of Iceland. I have to, in a way, Iceland is like the memorable thing in my mind when I recall Earth. But after a while, they took the astronaut away from me, and they prevented me from,
Seeing
prevented
them.
me from uploading on my channel. Yeah, they
Oh,
prevented me
okay.
from seeing them. So seeing them and my channel should completely destroyed my channel. Like it's gone. All the first videos, first channel that I had was gone. The Gmail that I made was gone, and I had to redo it all over again. I had to re-upload these videos again when I finally took it back from them, because I escaped the facility. I didn't like to be there anymore. I took I took apart their rocket to build another spaceship, to build my spaceship, and I flew away. I moved out of Earth after that terrible year. I wanted to find the astronaut after they sent him on the mission. I'm still trying to find him, and I'm still trying to find my planet, and so far there's no success. So that's my lore. That's my basic lore right there.
Okay, I see. May I ask, this astronaut, are they more of a romantic figure or more of a paternal figure?
I think, what do they call this? I think they're more like a mentor to me. They're not romantic. I never saw them as romantic. I never saw them as a
Ah,
parent.
okay, fair enough,
The,
fair
con-
enough.
the concept of parenting in Milko, it's not really the way it is in human life. In human concept, it's different. It's very different.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. Well, now considering that the viewers already have some concepts of who you are, we can start with the first question, which is, of course, what was daily life like on the Milko planet?
Daily life on the Milko planet, if I have to sum it up on one word, it would be slippery. Because since everybody's made out of goo, made out of squishy things, I don't have any, like, how soil feels like. It feels like you're rooted on the ground, so you don't like fall over, slip over. And there's nothing like that. You always have to slide every time when you wake up. You always have to slide to work, slide to go to your friends, slide everywhere. Transportation is very smooth in Milko Planet. Life in Milko Planet, it's very simple. They're very different from humans. Like our definition of work means, going to meet the royal family and share our concerns. That's our work. That's how we do. Like that's our work. We contribute on how to make the planet better. That's everybody's work. Unlike here, where there's like agriculture, there's construction, there's teachers, there's all kinds of work. But in Milko Planet, everybody is universal. You're only required to do one thing, and that is to improve the planet by suggesting to the royal family, and the royal family will initiate your request, depending if it's approved or not. So, as for education, since I know some of the viewers here could be students, for us, education, it always starts at home. It doesn't start on a separate building or separate, like we don't have teachers and stuff. It always starts at home. It always starts with, your friends as well. So if you have bad friends, bad family, it's, you might have to look somewhere else. Because in
Okay.
GU, you have the option to move families. You have the option to leave your families, and no one will like, oh no, they disowned you. It doesn't work like that. Since everybody is like universal, anybody can visit anybody. You can always move families. Switches every time. So there you go. That's the, pretty basic stuff on how to live in Milko.
Okay. Considering that all the beings of the Milko planet, the goo, all share responsibility over the planet, right?
Yes, they do.
What are some stuff that you did, considering that you had a human form when you were on the Milko planet?
Stuff that I did, oh man, it doesn't, since it feels like a beehive community, considering that I'm very different, I don't look like goo, I look human, but also don't feel like human. It's a very strange concept because it feels like they alienated from that society. So every time like I have an idea to submit to the royal family, I always got stopped first. Like, no, your ideas don't matter. You don't
Okay.
look like us. You don't feel like us. So
Prejudice, basically.
yeah, prejudice. And it's, you can't blame them because this is a small planet. It's small as Venus. So yeah, they are so tight knit with one another that having an outsider or look like an outsider feels like an invasion. So that's it.
Okay, I see. Well, surely that can really, that can be, how should I say this? A lot of people can relate to that because I have several viewers and several guests who have had very similar experiences. I've had similar experiences with being alienated by my own kind, but that's just for various reasons, of course, and that's just something that many beings have to deal with, considering a lot of people. Well, everyone here is different, I suppose, in some sort of way, but they still end up getting alienated regardless. Sadly.
Yeah, sadly. I know a lot of people can relate. A lot of people have opened up as well.
Yeah,
You
which
know,
is
you can
yeah,
be alone together.
yeah, exactly. It sounds a bit cliche, but yes, we can all be alone together. We can all reminisce in our aloneness, even if it sounds kind of weird.
Mhm.
Well,
So good.
regardless, let's move on to the next question, which is, what kind of accommodations do you have from what you've said, being from the Milko planet, considering that everyone are a type of slime type of creature? What kind of accommodations did a humanoid get?
What do you mean? What kind of accommodations? Can you elaborate?
Like your housing, your food, stuff like that. Clothing, perhaps.
Oh, it was tough because, okay, let's be honest. Goo doesn't need to wear clothes.
Yes.
Okay,
That's what
everybody's,
that's what I was curious about.
but the parents that I had in Milko, they really cared for me. So they tried to research on how to do clothing, and it was expensive. I must admit, being a humanoid in Milko is expensive because, and the only humanoid, by the way, because they have to get materials from other planets. They have to, yes, they have the technology to move to other planets to get more materials. And you know, for that one humanoid, that it feels like a hindrance to society. But gotta keep
Yeah.
humanoids alive. For food, somehow I adapted to the food pretty well because it feels like you're eating jello. You know, it's just eating jello. Crystals are edible in that planet. There are edible crystals in a planet. It feels like, imagine eating rock candy.
Yeah, I was kind of
That's
thinking
how
about
it feels
that.
like. I know it doesn't feel appetizing compared to human food with different kinds of meat, fruits, and stuff, but you know, it's different. We are all different beings. We have our own needs.
Different
And
beings,
as
different
for-
diets.
Different beings, different diets. That's what I want to say. As for what else? What else did you say?
Food, clothing, your housing, for example.
Oh, housing. Everybody lives in caves. Cave good. But we not really caves, but there's a lot of like holes in Milko Planet where you can like gather with other people. So yeah, we live in caves, and as a humanoid, there really isn't a comfy bed. So when I discovered there's this humans have cotton beds that feel like clouds, I was like, oh my, it's so smooth. It's so smooth. It doesn't feel like I'm falling off. It doesn't feel like I'm falling off the bed every single minute. It doesn't feel like there's always water dripping on my face in Milko Planet. It feels so comfortable.
Okay.
This is life. That's how it feels. That's the accommodation, the strife that I have to go through.
Okay, so if you were to look at a goo neighborhood, it would probably trigger a trypophobic. That's what you're saying.
Yes, be careful, guys. This is why I can't recommend Milko Planet. Like, humans, come on, you make great inventions. Okay, like, I know it's very tempting to go outside of your planet, but trust me, you don't want to see what's out there. Sometimes it's beyond comprehension.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, well, moving on to the next question. I am a bit unfamiliar with Terran geography, but it seems you have landed on Iceland. Was this by chance, or did you choose to fall into that area? Because there were probably no mosquitoes there. Because if that was the reason, I'd say that's a very good choice.
Okay, since Milko is a very cold planet, of course, I want to survive on a planet that I'm not familiar with. So
Fair.
while I'm crashing, I had to analyze which place is the best way to crash into, and from my calculation, it is Iceland. Because if I go to the North Pole, it's
Sure.
not gonna work. It's already melting.
Okay, fair.
It's already melting. But Iceland, Iceland is not yet melting. It's not melting. People would argue, but what about Greenland? Greenland is cold. Greenland is colder than Iceland. But if I need clothes, I need clothes. I need accessible clothes.
Fair.
I need food that I can access without, looking like it's unnatural. So I have to go to Iceland. That's the way. It's
Fair enough.
also ice baths. Who doesn't like ice baths? Just
I'm
me.
just gonna keep adding on to that there are no mosquitoes there. I want to go to that place so badly.
I mean, it's pretty nice. Iceland is pretty nice.
It sounds great. What about a former guest once told me about Canada. How about that place, Canada?
Canada?
Yes, I heard it's
Cana-
also very cold there. I've done only little bits of research from that place.
Canada? I've never been there. From the calculations I made, I don't think I analyzed that completely. Because to be fair, I'm falling not really
Fair.
right on top of Earth. Not really on the bottom or top, but somewhere in the upper regions. So I'm not really sure if my rocket picked that up for analysis. But I don't remember seeing that in my analysis, so I can't speak on that.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. Well, that's a great choice for where to land, because no mosquitoes, it's cold, I love it. I want to go to that place now. I wish I landed there.
I mean, would you survive though? You're made out of fire.
No, I'm not made of fire. I just look like I'm made of fire.
That makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I'm still mostly flesh. I just prefer cold stuff because I'm already hot. I don't want to be any hotter. I wanna be somewhere cold.
Okay, makes sense. I feel you. I can't stand
The heat,
hot areas.
same.
Yeah.
You hate it.
I'm gonna melt for real.
That's fair. That's fair. At least you have some ice powers. You can supplement that.
Yes, that's the good part.
Well, anyway, moving on to the next question. During the Apollo 11 moon landing of 1969, nice, When astronauts were given 3 weeks of quarantine to make sure they didn't carry any microbes, were there any procedures or precautions that happened when you landed and were apprehended by Space Force? Maybe quarantine or such.
Quarantine. Oh, they definitely did the quarantine. Yeah, there was quarantine. Actually, I don't think you can even call it quarantine. It's more like,
Prison?
how do I say? Yeah. they placed. I don't know what they call it, but it was so heavy. That room was so heavy. It was all glass panes. Okay, there was like 3 holes in it on all sides, and it doesn't feel like it has any air in it. It doesn't feel like it has air, even though there's holes. It feels very heavy. It feels like they don't want me to breathe. But jokes on them. Ice is the only thing that I need to live. So good luck on that, Space Force. So like, so we cannot eliminate this alien. Got it. So they tried to put me on another area to see what's up. They tried to place me on I guess more the hotter area. This time it's made out of metal.
Okay.
I don't know what they call it. It's like, it feels like a metal box. There's still space to breathe. I don't know if they're trying to K-word me, or are they trying to like, I really don't know with the Space Force. It's like they want to observe me, but also eliminate me from society.
Considering they killed the oldest thing on their planet to determine its age, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, like, I don't get it. Pick a struggle, humans. Pick a struggle. So when nothing works, since I'm not melting because hey, I have ice powers, they were like, okay, fine, let's do this the morally acceptable way. Let's educate this alien to not destroy planet Earth. Hooray! Common sense! I was like, really? You had to go through the hard way before you went the easy way? Okay, humans, whatever. And so I was pulled out of quarantine for a bit. They introduced me to the facilities. They introduced me to this playground for children. I don't know why. I don't know why there's a playground there, but it was fun learning the building blocks, sliding down going on swings, using the seesaw. It was fun, but it was pretty weird now that I think about it. So yeah, it brought me over to another room, a better room, where I discovered the beautiful thing called bed, and it was great. And then it wasn't, because they sent the astronaut away. I found some stuff that I don't understand yet, and I left for Earth. So there you go.
Okay, I see that. Well, at this point, I don't think that was just for security purposes, but at least they're still trying to help you in a sense.
I hope so.
Hopefully. They probably were still trying to help you in a sense, maybe. But we can never know like what they were really thinking, huh?
At least
not right now.
Yeah, not right now. I really can't understand humans sometimes. They make a lot of decisions that's really questionable.
That's very true. They did a lot of dumb things, considering they started two wars against birds, and they lost both.
It's funny because I found out from the books, the first war started because of a sandwich.
I heard about that.
I don't know why, but humans, go off, I guess. Go off.
Oh, it's weird. Well, considering that a lot of dumb stuff just starts off, and it's usually well, we know it's humans. The thing is that why are they so open about it? For example, the one example that everyone keeps pointing towards human stupidity, Florida Man. Have you heard about all those stories about Florida Man and all the
Yes.
shenanigans that always happens?
Yes. Yes, I did hear about those stories. Like,
oh my gosh, they get dumber every year.
why? It's better not. You know, I get it now. It's better not to like squeeze my brain for this. I kind of understand why, you know, other planets in the Milky Way collective. Let's hide away from humans.
I think that means like most things generally just tries to hide away from humans, at least until recently. Recently it's been more, it's like getting a bit more open, but still, generally speaking, a lot of people, places just want to hide away from humans for obvious reasons.
Yes, obvious reasons. I mean, I really don't get it with humans. Why do you want to venture out into something that you don't have any comprehension of? I mean, they're trying. There's new discoveries every day, but I don't know. There's a lot of things in the Milky Way. Actually, there's a lot of things outside of the Milky Way, and I'm not sure if they're ready to figure that out. But go off, humans. Go off.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's just their curiosity, but their curiosity just is borderline stupidity at points in history.
But no, it's in their nature.
Unfortunately, yeah. At least we got a lot of cool stuff out of it.
We got cool stuff out of it.
Anime,
I must say,
this, VTubing.
yes. I must say, even if they are like this, they did give us a lot of cool stuff. AKA the bed.
The beds. Yeah.
The bed.
I'm just waiting for some. I don't know why, but I was like researching on human technology, and they have created these things called like cooling beds, wherein it's supposed to be a bed that someone can sleep on and it's going to cool down their bodies. So instead of like the traditional bed of it being an insulator, it's meant to be a conductor. So it's supposed to like draw the heat out of your body so you have a nice cold sleep in a hot area. That sounds amazing, right?
That sounds really amazing, but
there's a catch. It only
Yes.
exists in two sizes. One for dogs and two for babies. They don't have one for like full grown creatures.
no, humans, why? But you know, dogs are really adorable.
Sure.
I must say, babies. But you know, dogs.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
But why? That sounds like an amazing invention. Sadly, it doesn't work on me since I'm not a hot object. But like, that sounds pretty cool. That seems very enticing. Why not make one?
Unfortunately, the size pisses me off whenever I see it online.
That's fine. You know, humans will figure it out sometimes.
They'll figure out eventually. It's like a story I once heard about there's this certain it's this technology about like a tiny whatchamacallit, a tiny key. It's a key that's used to open baby food, right?
Yes.
Like a tiny key that you use to open the lid of a can of baby food. Thing is
Yes.
that they did not apply that on other canned objects for so many years. Only until like a guy decided to like show a whole research thesis showing that the commercial viability for having a key on a can would be nice, like freaking what, like at least 10 years after the invention of the one for the baby food. Only then did they actually like place it on like a can of beans, which is what the company was, and that's what basically kickstarted the trend of like other companies doing it. But it took them 10 years to put what they've already been doing on baby food to put on just regular canned goods.
That sounds like a waste. The time is very it seems like it seems like it's very long, but time is just a tiny fraction if you live out there. At least for
Fair.
me, don't waste time, guys. 10 years is no joke. Come on, that's like 1 second from where I live.
Yeah,
It's
but
1 second.
it's still hilarious that it took a company 10 years before they 10 plus years before they added that. I think
It's really
because
weird.
I recall that the story was born because the guy who came up with the thesis like had a headache trying to look for his can opener just to open like his can of beans after he got home from work, and realized that his wife fed the baby, but she did it with the key thing, and he couldn't because he couldn't feed himself because he couldn't find the can opener, and it just pissed him off, and that's basically how the key thing added on canned food started. Basically,
Took them 10 years. Oh my gosh.
I know it's hilarious. It's hilarious. It took that freaking long.
There's this human meme where they say, "I lost my brain cells over that," so I'm gonna use that meme. I lost my brain cells over that. I'm sorry. Oh my. See, it takes human. It takes. You have to struggle first before humans decide. Okay, that's a bad idea. No, please, come on, guys. We can do better than that.
It takes them way too long to make stuff out sometimes. Just some human bureaucracy, which also annoys me.
It's fine. We just let them be. It's a cute human thing, maybe.
All that that is kind of wrong though, because I've also encountered like certain bureaucracy that just pisses me off, which is why some things take so long to make. Like what you said earlier, that time is precious.
Yeah, time is precious.
I've seen like some. I forgot the exact term for it, but I think they call it bureaucratic limbo. Like
Yes.
you need Form A to get Form B, but you need Form B to get Form A. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you can see that in human survival games. That
Yeah,
you need
pretty
this
much.
thing. I think the blatant example of it is, what do you call it? Satisfactory. Yeah, satisfactory. You need this thing before you get that. You get that thing, but you need to. In order to get that thing, you need this thing, and in order to make this thing, you need this thing. It's very confusing procedures.
And it gets annoying when you also have well the limbo in it, that you cannot get this item without the other item, but you can't get that item. It's a weird thing. I'm pretty hopefully they learn to fix those kinds of things eventually.
It will. Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, they do have the capacity to do that. They just need to, go the easy way sometimes.
Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next question. I did not realize you actually had ice powers as well as meteor powers. So theoretically, you can summon like a meteor shower, right? Or well, comets.
Yes, I can. Make it rain. I can make it rain. I can make it rain. Meteor showers. It's possible. But
okay. So does this mean that you can summon a shooting star and I can wish upon a shooting star?
yes, you can. It can happen. I actually did that during February 14.
Oh, nice.
Nobody did. Nobody asked. Nobody. I actually tweeted out, "Do you guys have any wishes for February 14?" And nobody replied on that tweet. And I was like, well, no meteor showers for February 14. There we go.
Yeesh.
It's fine. It's fine.
That would have looked so cool though. Like imagining like a couple like on a like a skyscraper, or at least like by a park where it's all empty. They see the skylight. That would have been great. That would have been romantic as hell if that happened.
It would. But I don't want to do that. Like I don't do that just because somebody requested me to.
Fair.
I choose when it happens. And when I feel like it.
If they force it, you can drop the meteor on them.
Yeah, exactly. What do you call it? The Zhongli.
The what? Sorry.
Zhongli. Genshin Impact character.
Oh, sorry. I don't play Genshin.
It's fine. But Genshin Impact players would know.
Fair enough. Okay, so viewers, you probably know that, right?
Let's go.
Well, at least we know that you have at least most control over your powers, right?
I do.
Well, actually, I'll save the question for later. Let's move on to the next one, though. Does the Milko planet have technology that is similar to that on Earth, or are theirs like more accommodating to the goo kind?
I never made that kind of comparison before because I feel like different species, different needs, right?
Sure.
For diet or something.
Yeah.
I think most of the technology, if humans go to Milko planet, they might not feel satisfied because in the first place, nobody wears clothes. I say that's technology, so there's definitely no clothing makers. There's no factories for that. Human food is different. You won't find any meat there, so processing is out of the question. Yeah, everything is picked out through nature. I don't know. I mean, you could say farming is I'll call it technology, okay? Farming,
okay, sure.
Agriculture is technology.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that farming, there's farming in Goo Planet, even though there's no soil or anything like that. We just grow things differently, different from Earth. You need soil in Goo Planet. You need the seed. So there you go. That's one of the. I guess that's one. That's same technology we can have. The other one would have to be getting to places. There's like cars, right? For Milko Planet, there's this kind of like mini hubs you can the slime can get to, because it's a very slippery planet. Nobody wants to like slip sometimes. They don't want to slip all the time, so they take these little hubs that float a little and they put it on the sea. It's like a boat car. Can you imagine a boat car? So it feels like that.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. I guess the biggest, I don't want to compare it to like an amusement park attraction, but do you know those swan thingies that you can go on and it just floats down the river, but you can control it, right? With a steering wheel. It feels like that. It's not really a jet ski, but imagine jet ski now. Jet ski. There we go. Jet ski.
Okay, yeah. Okay, it's basically a jet ski, but for like goo people. Goo.
Yes, goo people. Goo.
How would that look like?
Underwater. How would that look like? Imagine humans driving a jet ski.
Yeah, but the bodies though of the goo people. Okay, I'm trying to like picture like some of these things. I get what you mean though, like for transportation.
Yes. You might think that, aren't they gonna submerge in the water? Aren't they gonna morph into like this watery substance? But they won't. Trust me, they won't.
They won't. Okay.
the properties of the sea in Milko Planet is just different. It may feel it's not water. Okay, don't imagine water. Imagine it to be something else. Something that can bypass goo. Because since there's different types of slimes, that's what you used before. There's like quartz, rosals, and limaris. There's different kinds of slimes. And there's goo that can bypass that easily, the seed. There are some that just cannot slide as much because their slime properties kind of feel a little bit more solid. Like imagine slime, different types of slime. One is a little bit more hard to stretch. Others are a little bit slippery, like water. Others feel like clouds. That's what it feels like. Those are the
Okay,
different types.
I see. So there are like different species of goo, you mean?
Yeah, there are different species, but I would rather just say texture.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. Okay, moving on. Since the Milko planet focuses on a monarchy, what is the main goal of the leadership right now? Are they just general leaders, or are they trying to expand into other planets?
The royal family, not a part of the royal family, but from what I've seen in my childhood in Milko Planet, they do seem like general leaders for now. They are mostly focused on thinking of ways on how to make the planet bigger, because it's small. It's very small. The population is growing. They need to address that. They need to think of ways on how to inflate the planet. Nobody thought about inflating the planet, but they did. They were like, okay, we need to make these kinds of calculations on how to make our planet bigger. Because although we can just move planets, we do have the technology for that. It's not ethical from where we are, from where our planet is, because imagine the solar system, right, where Earth is. Since according to what Space Force found, the humans are the only living ones right now, the ones that are discovered, with the same air and stuff.
Yeah.
In our system, in our planet, in our solar system, we don't have a sun. It's just a system. It's not really ethical to do that, because there are other colonies. So it's best to think of ways on what to do with your planet first before moving on with others. Something that humans cannot.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, to relate to that, funny you should say that, because there's this show I've been watching recently called Love, Death, and Robots. Have you heard about this show?
I heard about it. Yes, I'm not watching though.
Okay. This is a bit of a spoiler for the people watching, but in season 3, there was a part there where it's basically a post-apocalyptic world, right? And they were kind of showing like what happened during what happened to end the world, and they talked about how people have basically how there are so many rich people that threw so much money into how do we leave Earth, that they could have just used that money to fix the problems on Earth.
Exactly.
They also discuss on how that person is probably going to be Elon Musk. No.
I mean, it's fine. It makes sense. But the show, although I never watch it, knowing the premise about it makes sense. Like I get it. I get it. The urge to discover things that you don't know. It's a very human nature thing. But it's best to focus on what we have now, what you guys have now. But I can't say what humans want to do, because it's your job. It's a human thing.
It's a human thing.
It's a human thing, and as according to our ethics, we don't get to say what we want to do, what we want others to do. It's
they have to want to change.
It's on your own competition.
Because
we mind our own business. You don't see other species from space going to planet Earth, right?
I mean, technically speaking, yes, there have been.
Because there have been, but
I mean, you are literally that person, though. You can't.
I know, but you don't see me telling humans to like adapt to our technology, go to this thing.
Fair enough, yeah.
You just do that. But you know, whatever humans.
I
It's
mean,
just
we
a
do.
different.
Yeah. I mean, we
Go
do
on.
have like VTubers who are trying to do that very thing, though.
It's under that's on them. Let them do their thing. For me personally, you won't hear that from me.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's better if they just try to fix it themselves, basically, right?
Yeah. It's the good thing. It's a good.
It's the good thing.
We go by our own flow. Yeah.
By the way, I want to ask you, how did you acquire your spaceship? Was it given by space? I mean, the spaceship you're using now, unless this is the spaceship that you came on when you arrived on Earth, right? Or was it?
Yes, it's the same spaceship. I took it from the Space Force. They made a lot of tweakings in it. I have to revert it back to the way it was. And since there were a lot of parts missing, I decided to take parts from the Space Force and assemble it by myself, then yeet it out of Earth.
The fact you're
It's
using
not-
the word take doesn't sound like it was consensual. It sounded like you just stole those things back.
I mean,
I borrowed
No.
without asking, basically.
I mean, no one's gonna ask.
I mean, no one's gonna
So-
ask the lady who can drop a meteor on them, so that makes sense.
Yeah, no one's gonna ask. No one is going to like, hey, give that back.
Can you give this back? We kinda need it. No. Drops a meteor.
Have a meteor.
You get a meteor. You get a meteor. You all get meteors.
Exactly. So there we go. I basically borrowed with. I let them know.
You let them know after you took it. I know that strategy. I've used that strategy a bunch.
Yes. That they can't do anything about it. I already took it.
Can I borrow this? Yeah, okay, cool. I already got it. What?
You're gonna have to
you
deal
can't
with
say no now.
Exactly. That's what it felt like.
It's not a jerk move though. We're not condoning this, viewers, by the way. We're just expressing what happened. We're not condoning, we're not telling anyone that they should do this, okay? Nobody do this and no one do this. No viewer should do this.
Please don't do it. Ask for permission. If they don't give
Ask
you the
for
permission, give up. Okay? Great.
Ask for
Don't be
permission.
like me.
Don't be like us. Don't be like us where we just take things without asking, okay?
Okay, be a
there's
good
some
human.
rules to follow. Yeah, be a good human.
Follow your own rules.
Follow the rules of humans. Don't follow ours. Oh no.
Moving on.
Well, moving on. Let's continue with let's see here. What are some things that appealed to you the most once you arrived on Earth and started learning more about human culture?
Say this again. Beds. Okay. There we go. After that,
Yeah, besides beds, I mean, like, what else like appealed to you
okay, I'm just
about
gonna
the culture
give,
at least, or something like that?
so I'm gonna give like an example for each category, like video game, and I'll talk about books.
Okay, sure.
I'll talk about music. So let me do it by category. So for video games, since this is the main focus of the channel, I really love survival games. It's not really. It's a niche. It's a niche gaming genre, at least from what I see. Okay.
Definitely.
Not a lot of people
we've played some Zomboid fairly recently, actually, which is considered a very difficult survival game by some standards.
Yes, and I really love it because as somebody who grew up isolated from their own home planet, you know, it's not new to me. Feeling isolated, like the ones in stranded deep, the forest,
Yeah.
Magic Zomboid. That feels like you feel like you're isolated because everybody is now zombies and you're the only one alive, quote unquote. So it feels like you're living the same experience, but in a fun way because the materials are available to you. You can be creative with your lifestyle. As for me, when I was in Milko Planet, I did not have that. I only have to be obedient. And here in Earth, it's also the same. I have to be obedient to the Space Force, or else, they would trap me again into quarantine, then fail again. It's a clown show, but
It
I
happens,
really love
yeah.
I really love the creativity that I can do with survival games. Even if there's no base building, like in the Long Dark, it's still so fun because you're living life differently. Because others, let's be honest, a lot of us are pretty
Boring.
comfortable.
Oh yeah,
Comfortable.
that also works. Yeah.
No. Comfortable, okay?
Comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people have jobs, some people live student lives. Survival games, you don't have that. You don't think about school. You think about living every day. And I love the aspect about it because it feels like time is precious. You have to do this before sundown or else monsters will come out. You have to be like you need to analyze how many things that you need to get done for the day, or else you won't have enough food, you won't have enough drinks, or the place that you want to go to will be cut off because there's a zombie invasion or something like that. So that's one of the aspects that I like.
I think
For literature.
before we move to the literature, to add on to what you said earlier about survival games, I think
Yeah.
a very good comparison to draw onto this is the game Sims, if you've heard of it.
I heard of Sims.
It's
Very good.
basically a human life simulator, but a survival game is very close to, well, at least some survival games I've played a couple like Subnautica, I've played Minecraft, I've played Sims, and I played Zomboid, obviously. But adding on to this is that those games share many examples with Sims, except for the fact that Sims is a very, well, as you said, comfortable life kind of game, wherein just
Yes, it is.
everyday things just happen. But the games that we've played, which are survival games, are basically that, but not comfortable.
It's not.
You're still working every day, but you're working fighting zombies, fighting sharks in the water, fighting fighting other
Yeah,
creatures that
it's
can eat you. But you're
basically
yeah,
basically Sims feels like you're watching somebody else's life.
yeah.
And for survival games, you're the life. That's what
Okay,
that's what it
that
feels
also
like.
works. Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Plus, even though both have their own freedoms, it's just that The Sims doesn't feel as adventurous as the other games. Not to say it's a bad game. It's just not a type of game that we'd play because we want to play a type of game that is more. Wait, no, that's less comfortable.
Mhm.
Something that's actually like more of a struggle. To say that Sims isn't a struggle, I've tried to play Sims like legitimately and I could not do it. I had to play it with cheats on because I did not want to be an everyday salaryman.
Yes. Basically, we are attracted to other kind of life sim. There we go.
Yeah, definitely. We want a different kind of life simulator. A life in an apocalypse, a life in a stranded island or a planet, those kinds of things.
Yep. Something, yeah, something like that. I mean, I did play The Sims. I can see the
Oh,
appeal.
me too,
really.
yeah.
I know it can be fun, but you know, as as a survivalist junkie, I
I'd
love
rather,
the
yeah, we'd both rather just play something else.
and that's fine.
Also, I'm
Right.
pretty yeah, your space filter just died, I think.
It did, sadly, but
Oh, it's fine.
it's all good.
It's all good as long as we can still hear and see you.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you guys can you can still hear me, right?
yeah, definitely. So moving on, like what other literature have you discovered that might probably has like shown some appeal to you?
Oh gosh. Ooh, literature, one of my favorites. It's one of the things that I genuinely love because humans are very creative. You know, I've seen some of the fantasy stories. I'll just mention the very popular ones for old time's sake, like Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings, many more fantasy novels that there's just so many.
That's
But
fair. Yeah.
the one that really appealed to me, it's not. It's, how do I call this? It's not a fantasy, but what do you call that? It's like living a modern life. It
Slice of
appeals to me.
life.
This you could say it is a slice of life. I have a favorite author, and that's Adam Silvera. He writes modern novels that are focused on the LGBTQ,
Okay.
and although it talks about that, the way I admire his writing because it's very emotional. It's different. Like the way he describes human emotion is just very image-like. He
Okay.
compares it to like mundane, like everyday objects. Like you wouldn't think a puzzle piece would be important to somebody, right? At least to me, to a comet like me, it doesn't matter. Like I don't have any sentimental ideas about it. But for a human, it can mean memories. Like this puzzle piece was given to this puzzle box was given to me by my dad, and he's not there anymore, and it's very sentimental, very memory. It's very associated humanity. That's what I'm saying. The way that he writes, it's just I can never experience that kind of emotion. I can never experience that kind of association because relationships are important for humans. From what I've read, it they need social relationships to survive. Compared to a comet, what we need to survive is ice. What we need to survive is, our planet. That's what we're focused on. But for humans, it's very related to connections. And that's really surprising because literature, some authors write because they want to connect with an audience. Like VTubing, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why VTubing is so appealing to me. Because, human concept is still very complex to me. I still don't get most of it. But through VTubing, I'm understanding the concept of connection slowly but surely.
Uh,
It's really
yeah.
intriguing.
Definitely.
And
Actually, a big topic that's been like showing up recently is how should I say is parasocial relationships, which I believe is
yeah,
starting to be like a really big thing, especially with the both of us as we are both VTubers. It's
yes,
starting to be like a bit blurred, if I should say, because there are some people that discover friends online, some people that discover just an entertainer online, but the way that this is affecting how people view each other is getting a bit too skewed, if I should say.
yes, definitely. I I know the concept of parasocial relationships, but it's just hard to speak on it because it's a human concept. Again, it's a human concept, and comets don't need to experience something like that. Good people don't experience something like that because although technology exists in Milko planet, we mostly focus on what's happening on the now. We don't have any phones or something like that. because since everybody's everywhere, we just need to slide like that.
Yeah.
uh, I can see why it's a problem. Like parasocial relationships, it's artificial. What you know on screen, you don't really know them. You don't know their background, and they don't know you. And I think humans can find a way to come around this. I think that's what I believe. That's what I want to believe. They have the thing called setting boundaries, if I remember. But I really can't speak on it because again, human comet, very different things.
Agreed. Um, to add on this, there's actually, how should I say this? Parasocial relationships are really hard to discuss, especially if we haven't had a full parasocial relationship on the other side. I mean, since both of us are relatively small VTubers, we haven't had a full relationship yet, but we have had some kind of taste on it. Consider we both have audiences. Those people can possibly view the relationship with us as a bit too personal, but that would be completely different on our side. We could definitely relate to this because we were also on the other side of that spectrum. We were once also fans of a certain creator, perhaps another VTuber actually. But then, of course,
Mm-hmm.
as things go on, it things can change, and now we're on the other side of that spectrum. We get to see both sides of it, which is what a lot of creators, well, a lot of people who are in the entertainment industry can experience. We have like actors especially, but the most common ones is of course with influencers, which I don't like to use that word, but influencers, streamers, YouTubers, those kind of guys, those kind of people. They develop a
Mm-hmm.
type of parasocial relationship that just cannot be fully matched by other industries, which is an alerting thing that people should really just discover what the boundaries are. I'm from in the city of Incendium. We share plenty of these kinds of things, but seeing on how huge it is in the human culture, in human culture and all human internet at least, it's rather alarming, I should say. Just how many people like take it like overtly seriously.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's very alarming, but how do I say this? It's since it's a big issue, a very sensitive issue. One answer cannot apply for everybody. So right now, it depends on every community, right? It
Yeah.
depends. It depends on the creator as well. You have to set those boundaries, and for the audience to like realize these boundaries must be met. But everybody works differently. Even if you say this, not everybody will move the same way. Sadly,
Fair
that's
enough.
what I
Yeah,
observe.
especially on the human internet, as there are some people who are a bit too aggressive at times, I should say.
It is. Mhm.
It's like
It's human.
it's like there are some humans that would be willing to like attack others on the behalf of other people, both of which have no idea who they are, who each others are, who any of the people involved are.
Yes, exactly. Like
I,
it's so easy to insult somebody on the other
yeah,
side because you don't know their face. You don't know how they feel. That's
espe-
why people
yeah.
are so willing to, be at each other's throats. They don't realize that, oh, it's like me. They can feel like me.
Yeah,
Doing
anonymity
concept.
is a blessing and a curse, as a lot of people like to put it on the internet, especially.
Mm-hmm.
It's valuable
That's
in the sense that it gives you more security, but that same security can also apply towards people who are a-holes.
Exactly.
Actually, before we started this, I was contacted by a friend of mine warning me to be wary of people who are attacking VTubers using with very vulgar names,
Hmm.
and they just go into the streams of VTubers just to basically bully the VTuber for no other reason besides that they are a VTuber. That that can only exist from anonymity, but that is also the bad thing about it.
Exactly. You can't hold these people accountable.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's a sad reality that it always has to be on the VTuber's end to address these issues.
Yeah, basically just defend themselves. But then there's also the other side of the spectrum, wherein if this person exists, there's gonna be somebody from the community who takes it upon themselves to defend the VTuber, which is great for a while until they take it too far, which is what happens when I forgot the whole story, but I recall that there's this VTuber who was who had some beef with another VTuber, no, another VTuber, a real tuber, a normal streamer, basically a non VTuber streamer, and the fans of the VTuber took it personally to defend their wife, to defend the VTuber, to the point of doxing the other to dox the the streamer.
Yeah, people can be defensive. Humans can be defensive. It's really hard. It's honestly hard. It's honestly hard to control the situation from an outsider perspective, from my perspective. Like,
I think it's hard to control the situation. Yeah.
I get why humans are like this, but at the same time, even if you do something about it, it just, it's very complex. It feels like wires entangled together. Can't find the original wire. It's just that complex.
Definitely.
So that's,
But it's just really difficult to say, huh? To say what could possibly solve this, even if we are both part of it. It's just a really hard issue to solve.
It really is. This is just me. This is just me as a VTuber. You just can't say what you can't say. You can't tell other people what to do. That's reality because they go by their own flow. The best that you can do is to focus on your community. Like, what can you do with your community, right? My community, your community. What can you do to control your own situation? So other communities can, if ever they happen to stumble upon your community, they join this small community, they would see how disciplined or how the culture is in your community. They would go, why don't I, look at their community and think about my community. What can I do for my community to improve the situation? It's a very slow process, I must say. It's like, it's not the butterfly effect where one small thing happens and all of a sudden it will go that way. It's not a linear process. It's very tiny. It takes a while. So for me, what I can do about that thing, I have to do what I can between satellites and me. I have to think about, are there things that I can do in my community so that other communities can find it easier to spread the word like that. That's how I see it. That's my perspective.
Yeah, definitely. To give a shining example of this, a VTuber who I've been following for a while, who actually helped me start out, is a person named Sapphire. They
Mm-hmm.
are an art focused VTuber, but they've also done a lot of educational videos on how to start being a VTuber. I've been watching their work, and after I decided to join their community to get a sense of how everything works, I realized that the culture of this community is different from the other communities on, well, especially on Discord that I've joined, which is that this community is very basically zero tolerance. If you do something that vaguely resembles like attacking somebody or making fun of somebody's like ailments, that'll already be considered an attack, and depending on the severity, there might not even be a warning. You will just be banned immediately. And that's what happened with some people, which is why they also don't allow for cursing on their on the Discord or on YouTube or any of the medias. She is basically the embodiment of a say so VTuber, and
Yes.
that is extended to her how should I say, to her audience, wherein her audience is of course rather larger, so she has a lot of VTuber, how should I say this, VTuber members of her community who also have their own communities, but because of her influence, a lot of the VTubers are following in her footsteps, which I do like to see. It's just that I cannot apply this to myself. One example is VTuber Senpai, another person who helped me like start up. His work is say so also, but he also stopped cursing specifically because he wants to be more like her and also wants to do more work with her.
Mm-hmm. It's really about that, following on a good example's footsteps. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Just following, well, like your mentor actually. Just you both of you are now in space apparently, if I recall it correctly. You're basically following in her footsteps, in their footsteps, kinda.
Basically, yes. Now that I think about it, if they weren't sent away, I would have probably been stuck on Earth with no motivation to get back to my home planet. Because in reality, to be honest, there's not a lot of attachment to my home planet. But because I have a purpose, searching for that person. They told
Yeah.
me that even if you have no attachment to that planet, you could still do something about it. You could still make space. And I was like, righty, alrighty. Following the example of someone, of a good example, by the way, not just any
Yeah,
example, a good example.
you have to know which example to follow, because that's also part of the whole how do I know which one to follow, because don't just follow everyone. If you try to follow everyone, you will just stress yourself out. Nothing will get solved basically.
Exactly. That's how it is. And that's what I hope for between me and my audience with satellites. I really try to remind myself to be a good example of what to on how to communicate with others, to be sensitive, to be considerate about others, because sometimes we just don't realize that we can offend people. We have to be conscious. Sometimes it feels like it feels like a joke, or it feels like it's very friendly. Sometimes it isn't. You just don't know how people feel, and it's always all right to ask, hey, is there anything I could do to improve? Is there anything, how can I communicate better with you? That's the kind of person I want to show to satellites. Because I gave them their name, satellites. Satellites in human dictionary, it means to study, to communicate with the said celestial object. And I want
Okay.
satellites to learn from me, and I can learn from them. So that's how it is.
Okay, I see. Well, that's just that is something that a lot of people should aspire to be. Well, actually going back to what you said much earlier, You were discuss. Do you what kinds of forms of entertainment exist on the Milko planet, if I may ask? If you appealed to more like the books earlier, then we have the survival games. What are some forms of entertainment that exist on the Milko planet that probably people don't know about?
Okay, this is something that I really want to share because I wouldn't say it's super different, but something close to humans.
Mhm.
They love storytelling and they love music. Do you know folklore? Do you know the meaning of folklore?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Our
Stories passed
we had
on.
a guest like on Thorntail who discussed his folklore is being expressed every winter time, every winter time. So I'm assuming that you also have something similar.
Yes, that's one of our entertainments. You know, there's a reason why I'm named Miki Astrophel, narrative
Mhm.
from the stars. We love our stories. We love sharing our stories from word of mouth, and it develops on and on and on. You know, our time is short, but I must say, the Milko Revolution is really really tiny. It's really tiny compared to Earth. 365 days, we only have around 200, and we love to see our stories developed by other people's perspective. That's entertainment because wow, this story already developed into this kind. It feels like it's not really soap opera. It's not that dramatic, but
Yeah.
they love the changes. They love the changes. And since we love folklore, we also love music. We express our stories to music. It feels very, prehistoric. It feels like prehistoric humans. It feels like that. It feels very, how do I call this? Provincial? It feels ancient. There we go.
Primeval. Okay. Okay,
Medieval.
that also works.
So if the kind of music that you can hear in Milko, it feels like bardcore. I'm gonna have to say it feels like bardcore. That magical feeling, that old feeling vibe. It feels like bardcore. That's how we don't have strings, but there's one. We have we have like a bug that can produce some sort of like string that we can turn into like a harp, and when we play it's very ethereal, I must say. Then the caves echo, right? It echoes. You can make all sorts of choir sounds. You can make all sorts of vocals with it, and it's really when I recall that sensation, I felt the Milko Planet. It's just heavenly, I must say. It's really nice. That's the entertainment, and others would sing along with us. So it feels like every day there's new stories, new music to go around. And I was really surprised with humans because wow, their type of music is so different. They have a thing like piano swings, pop, rap, rock and roll, alternative. We don't have those. We 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 don't even have a label. We just call it music. We just call it our music, Milko music. So it's a different thing. That's our entertainment. As for shows, like something like shows, there's a thing that humans call street act. We do have something like that.
Like
Where
theater.
Theater, yes, but I say street act because it can street act can happen out of nowhere. People act. It's like a social experiment, but not really. The Milko Planet,
So
anybody. Yeah, people can gather. Goose can gather together and like perform a play. Since stories pop up every once in a while, every day. So they like, okay, let's act this story. Let's act this folklore today on the street. Let's show our talent. And everybody would like join in and watch and applaud. But there's no really sound because it's slop.
so it's basically like a Disney movie, huh?
It feels, yes, it's like a Disney movie. Everybody will just burst out in song. I'm not the way
Okay.
that I'm describing it seems weird, but
It's exactly like a
a
Disney movie.
It's a good
But I see what you
thing.
mean. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's just their
It's a
culture.
good
We
thing.
we cannot. It's just hard for like humans to relate.
Yes. You could call it very wholesome.
Well, it sounds very wholesome. It sounds interesting, I should say. But
Yes.
so earlier you said that you create string like from insects.
Yes.
So does it mean that there's like animals on the Goo planet on
Yep.
Milko? Sorry.
Yes, there is there are insects, there are animals in the Milko planet. I wouldn't say many, but there are some in the sea, some in the caves. Of course, we did get the insect that can make the
Yeah,
string.
yeah.
It's I can't describe them all, of course, because who is in right mind can describe all of the animals in the world, right?
Fair
In
enough.
in Earth. But that's one of the examples I want to give. That insect that can make the little string. Oh,
Okay, that
I
makes
don't know
sense.
why. I don't know why they just decide on a harp-like figure. They haven't really expanded like humans with the guitar, violin, and everything.
Yet.
Maybe one day. Yes.
Yet. But you don't know, somebody might invent something somehow for whatever reason.
Yes.
Well,
But
anyway.
first,
Yeah, definitely. Well, moving on to actually we're almost done with the questions. Let's move on to the next one, which is, have you ever used your powers as a way to defend yourself or attack somebody? And can you describe the experience?
defense. Yeah, of course I have to use my powers for to defend myself. I mean, when the Space Force first arrived, I have to defend myself. But it doesn't seem obvious because they still tested me, right? So I had to like form a little snowball just to see what's their tolerance, like how powerful these Space Force are. And to
Okay.
my surprise, they easily fell down on the ice.
Eee.
Yeah,
So you threw
it was a
ice at them.
strong. Nah, yeah, not very wise. The ice kind of cracked. They landed on their bottoms.
Did you
and
kill
they kind of-
someone then?
No, I did not. If I did, they probably won't even put me in a quarantine. They would just end me right there, but they
Fair
can't.
enough.
Sadly.
Okay.
I had to like help them, even though they took me into quarantine. I'm like, okay, I was just trying to see. I was just trying to see your tolerance to pain, but okay. Because in goo, you don't. They just. They're just. If you throw something at a goo, it just bounces off. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
How am I supposed to know? As
Okay.
for the offensive one, no.
Okay, so you've
Nothing.
never used to attack anyone besides defending yourself, at least, right?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
You hit-
Just making sure.
you hit me first, I'll hit back. Like that.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Are there does everyone on your planet, like the Milko planet, have a type of ice or meteoric power, or is it just you?
I think it's just me. Because I'm the only humanoid there. Everybody's good. Everybody seems to be normal. Good definition of normal. They don't
Okay.
seem to have any powers.
Okay, so
They're pretty. I guess they're pretty. How can I describe this perfectly in a cool manner? I'll have to say they're smart. That's it. They're smart. They focus on themselves.
okay,
They're
fair enough.
very behind.
So, so just to elaborate, you're the special one of your kind who has certain powers, and you crash landed on a different planet after your current planet got sucked up by something that's pretty much a dark hole.
Yes, that's what I think it is, but I'm not really sure. It
Okay,
can happen in space.
are you aware of Superman? Of his story?
Yes, I am aware of Superman. It's one of the things that the Space Force showed me. What's your kryptonite? And I was like, what's a kryptonite?
Are you
Okay.
aware of Goku? Because that's also basically the same concept.
Goku! I only know the memes, not the actual show.
Fair enough. Because, let's see. They are both special ones of their kind. At least that's kind of in terms of Goku. And we also have you're both from space. You're both from somewhere far away because something bad happened to that place where you're from. That's basically the same thing.
It's basically the same thing. You can even say Megamind.
Yeah, especially Megamind. Yeah, that was like one of the things I want to like point out also.
It's one of my favorite movies, Megamind.
Definitely that I love the movie. But also considering your goo nature, okay, I'm gonna bring up two things first. First one, Venom. Do you know Venom from Marvel Comics?
Yes, I know Venom from Marvel Comics, but I did not watch the movie.
That's fine, but lore-wise, he is, well, technically they are also from space, a certain type of their kind that ended up someplace else, and they're also made of goo. So I kind of thought the assumption, because they also have a hive mind, supposedly at least.
Oh, I didn't watch that movie.
Oh, it's not from the movie, it's from the comics.
The comics, I haven't read that comic. They showed me Superman, but they did not show me Venom. I think they're a DC fan. Space Force is a DC fan.
That explains why it's blue and not red.
Yes. Is it okay? Now a lot of things make sense. Got it. It makes sense now. I gotcha, Space Force.
But still, it's kind of interesting that in DC Comics they also explain a certain hive mind that's also full of slimes. Well, basically slimes. But it's actually kind of interesting if you actually like read into it, because the slimes of that world, they basically have the same concept of what your slimes are, except they want to help beings. They basically combine their bodies to the bodies of what they inherit of like the host, and then that host becomes like better versions of themselves while also having their entire bodies cleaned. Like if they have an illness, it removes that illness. Like anything from like cancer to just a common cold, they can remove it from your body. The thing is that Venom is considered a bad guy because when one of those beings gets severed from the hive, they go crazy. So and it happens it for some stupid reason it happens often. To the point where people just think that the Venom planet is just evil.
Oh gosh.
It's actually kind of funny.
It is. I kind of see why there's a comparison now.
So potentially if you attack humans and probably off them, they might have had the same assumption.
Yeah, I get it. But I didn't know that comic exists. I'm gonna have to research on that author. You may never know.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Might have a cold sweat, like foretelling that Milko Planet. But I'm gonna name it Venom.
Just to like prevent humans from going there.
Yes, kind of makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really recommend going to Milko Planet either.
Regardless,
way, so.
yeah, just don't. Yeah. Okay.
You can't survive.
Yeah, well, you can. It's just not gonna be pleasurable, I suppose.
It won't be. And they already hate they hate humanoids. What more humans? So
fair enough.
Go up.
Are you aware of the SCP Foundation?
Yes, I'm aware of the SCP Foundation.
Because the way you describe Space Force sounds exactly like what the SCP would probably do if they didn't let you go.
Uh-huh. I don't know, SCP sounds more intelligible to me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
To be fair, SCP is really focused on the heavy stuff. Space
Yeah.
Force,
They're the
You know,
baby
they-
version.
they did not expect, to be honest, they did not expect me to end up there. Because
That's fair. But
they did share to.
Oh yeah, definitely. But there are some stories from the SCP Foundation that I've somehow uncovered that actually is rather appealing to me in terms of your situation in the in Space Force, that I actually found kind of very entertaining just looking these up.
Okay.
Considering that you got okay, there's two things. There's this one SCP that okay, it's a type of being that will attack anything that moves, and it also wails. It also has a tail that's basically a razor sharp blade. So, and they deduced it's probably an alien like yourself. But the thing is that a certain handler was also assigned to this alien.
Oh.
But the handler was actually dedicated in researching this alien and found out it basically had the mind of a child. which
That's actually funny.
well, somewhat literally, but like it just had very bare bones instincts and only just attack things because it felt like it or felt like being aggressed towards. But he did his job, actually researched it, and found out that, well, after like several months to years of research, probably like what, 3 years of research, of just constant research on this being, they found out that they taught it skills, right? But the
Yes.
skills, the one skill that it actually like excelled at is something you wouldn't expect.
What is it?
Cooking.
That's awesome though.
It has 4 arms and one razor sharp tail, and it can float for whatever reason. They gave it like a piece of a chicken, a live chicken. It ate it. It was disgusted, but it ate it. They gave it a cooked chicken, and it actually preferred eating the cooked chicken. And anyway, they gave it like a TV, some shows. It started learning about cooking culture, human culture, all those sorts of things. Funny enough, the part that actually like entertained me the most was after they gave it the cooking shows and gave it like a small kitchen, basically, right?
Yes.
They gave it a small kitchen to look after, basically. It got a chicken, it got some ingredients, got some vegetables. It cooked the chicken, and its first words were, "What do you think?"
Definitely not related to cooking.
Nope, it is. It's okay.
Oh, really?
Its first words were, "More salt."
So
I
love that.
I couldn't stop laughing, but it also brought a tear to my eye after I like started reading more into it, and how this one creature, how everyone thought this one creature was just a killer, turns out to actually be an intelligent creature that has a passion for cooking, that only just needed to be expressed, that needed to be nurtured by an outside being to help. It was absolutely like, it actually made me tear up just a bit by after learning about like what this creature was and how it was so misunderstood to the point that it needed someone else to help it to express how great this creature was. Because the last part of the last entry that I read was that this creature actually prepared a whole Thanksgiving feast from a type of pumpkin, a type of Indian pumpkin soup to the freaking main dish, which is a type of rotisserie beef served towards the people of the SCP Foundation for their Thanksgiving dinner.
Aww.
It
That's
was
wholesome.
very heartwarming just by seeing like what it needed to be nurtured, and just seeing like how the situation is similar to yours on how you were captured, how you were imprisoned, and how you just needed like this one push to fully, well, not fully, but at least understand human culture was just reminded me of the story.
Because it's so easy to assume that any otherworldly being will destroy, but we just have different cultures, different understanding of the world. That's very different from human concepts. There's food concept, there's beep concept, there's beep concept. So yeah, it sometimes it just takes a lot of more observing, but it's understandable, because let's face it, we just want everybody wants to feel safe. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
have to put up a defense, and once we
Yeah.
notice that it's not really harmless, it's harmless, not it's harmless. We lower our shield a little bit. So there you go. It's just sad that some people would just go through very cruel ways first before things got better.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the first response that some people try to do. I understand why it's just kind of sad sometimes if you think about it.
It is very sad.
It's like the it's guilty before proven innocent kind of dilemma, right?
It's a thing. I'm not calling it a human thing. It's a thing.
It's just a thing that happens like way too many peoples basically. Okay, well,
Can't
let's move
control.
on to the near the last question, which is, considering that you were interrogated, you were asked a bunch of questions about your life in Space Force. Can you say that I'm basically doing the same thing right now?
I mean, I gave you my consent to do this, so not really. To be fair, I was taken away. I was taken away by Space Force and brought into a quarantine with glass box, and they introduced me. They didn't even introduce themselves. They did not say their names or anything. Not that I cared at first, but manners, manners. It's not an interrogation. Don't worry about it. I gave you permission,
Okay,
and
cool.
they did not ask for permission.
They just did. Okay, yeah. I suppose that's the glaring difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's move on to the final question, which I suppose is something that some people were wondering, especially me. Are you looking at the broadcast right now?
Yes, I am looking at the broadcast right now.
Okay, just let's check in. But I have to ask something. What are you looking for in another crew member? Considering that you are looking for another crew member to join you on your space trip.
Well, what am I looking for in a crew member? I'm not hiring anybody right now. But if I have to if I have to say, I would really appreciate it if they know how to clean. Yeah. If they know how to cook, that's basically it. I don't cook, okay? I can't cook human food. I can't cook any food. So what I do is just take a bunch of raw materials, food that I don't need to eat. I would very much appreciate if somebody can be my chef. They can be my chef. And I don't really need a pilot since I can pilot my own ship. for repairs and stuff, I can do that by myself. Yeah, here's the thing. Security! There we go. They can be a space hunter as well. I'm not a hunter, okay? I'm more of a strategist.
Well, I guess that's Well, I guess that's
No more
perfect then.
flashbacks. No, I'm not firing anybody. I'm not
sad.
I can't pay people, okay? I live.
Well, what did they do
I
it
live
for
in a
free?
spaceship.
Nah.
Nah.
That's unfortunate.
It's alright.
Well, I can do those things. I've cooked.
Still not firing. I can't pay people. I need to pay people. Ethics won't allow me. It's a good thing.
Well, you could pay me some other time. Just kidding.
Nah.
Nah. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna be transparent now. What I'm actually looking for is moderators.
It's a mod. Do you want a mod? Or for your YouTube channel? Life coach. Okay, that's a new one.
Actually looking for.
Okay. Well, anyway, that has been burning questions. How did you enjoy your time on burning questions?
It was really fun. I had a great time ranting.
the bed, yeah.
On Space Force. I know that some of them are very kind people, but
some are just all business kind of thing.
All business. Yeah, it's very fun. Thank you for doing this.
No problem.
Casey.
Do you have any other like final thoughts on the topic? On anything, like final words to say for the viewers watching.
Please, before you go to other planets, please fix your space ethics first. That's all.
Okay, well, I think that works. Anyway, to all the viewers, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic night, and if you wanna watch more of like Miki Astrophel stuff, you can check her out here on her YouTube channel, which is linked over here on the chat. So anyway, goodbye everyone.